One of the most important pieces of camera gear in your kit is a field monitor. Without it, there's a good chance you're looking at a tiny built-in screen on your camera, or in some cases, you've got no screen at all. Today, we're going to talk about SmallHD's most affordable model in their lineup, the Indy 5, and why I think it's worth every penny. So yes, SmallHD monitors are expensive. In fact, as of the time I'm recording this video, they're the most expensive on-camera monitors you can buy. The Indy 5 model, which I'm reviewing, will run you $1,300, which might be a tough pill to swallow for some, but after using SmallHD monitors for a year and a half on each and every shoot I've been on, I can say with confidence that they're worth the money. But like most products, they're not perfect. So I figured let's start with some of the cons. First off, the Indy 5 isn't the brightest monitor. At 1000 nits, it can be hard to see the screen in bright sunny conditions, even at 100% brightness level. For the price, I don't expect a higher nit rating, but I do think SmallHD could include a sun hood with their lower brightness monitors. Now, speaking of working in the sun, the Indy 5 can get very hot. This past August, I filmed the IndyCar Music City Grand Prix in Nashville for one of the race's sponsors. And while the first thing that comes to mind when you think of Nashville isn't necessarily heat, it was one of the hottest days I've ever had to work in my career. Despite it getting so hot, the Indy 5 never once shut down. And I think that's a testament to SmallHD's design of their monitors. The heat sinks on the back of the monitor and the fans did their job. And while I was wishing that I had a sun hood and a portable air conditioner, both me and the monitor got through an extremely tough day. Now onto the good stuff. And there is a lot of it. In fact, that could be the theme of this video. With the SmallHD Indy 5, you get a lot of good stuff. There are plenty of tools that you could access through the robust user interface that runs on SmallHD's Pages OS 5. The user interface and overall user experience of Pages OS is, in my opinion, the absolute best in the business. If you're looking for a monitor with every monitoring tool you could possibly ever need, your search will land at SmallHD. You've got access to several different exposure and color monitoring tools such as waveform, zebras, vector scope, false color, and my new favorite way to monitor exposure, EL Zone. For anyone who doesn't know what EL Zone is, it's a new stop-based exposure tool developed by ASC cinematographer Ed Lockman, and it works similar to false color. Of course, there are also focus monitoring tools like peaking and focus assist that you can customize to your liking. Depending on what I'm shooting, I'll switch between peaking and focus assist. The Indy 5 also has a magnification feature, so if I need to dial in my focus even more, I could punch in on the shot. There's also a very robust grid and guideline system that can help you in framing for multiple formats of content. There's even a horizon level indicator. You can also load custom LUTs to preview your footage. The Indy 5 does come pre-installed with conversion LUTs for most of the common camera manufacturers, but you can also load your own custom LUTs via the SD card slot. Now, unfortunately, you have to keep the SD card inserted to use your custom LUTs. The moment you remove the SD card, you can't access those LUTs. So I do wish I didn't have to have a dedicated SD card just to store my LUTs. But clearly, the Indy 5 monitor has a bunch of monitoring tools, but what I found that truly sets it apart from other monitors is how customizable the interface is. Pages OS 5 allows you to set up individually customized pages, each with a different set of tools that you could choose from. For example, if I'm primarily using this monitor as a first AC, I'll set up a page with different focus assist tools. If I'm working solo for a run and gun shoot, I have a generalized page that I use and it's personalized just for me. This page has things like frame guides, EL Zone, LUT preview, focus peaking, as well as focus assist. I've also customized the digital function buttons to the right to do different things. I've got one button assigned to screen brightness, another set to take me to the main settings, and even though there are no physical function buttons on the monitor, which you need to step up to the more expensive Cine model to get, I do love that they have the digital function buttons on the Indy 5. Now, as you can probably tell, there's a lot going on with the SmallHD's new monitors. There's plenty of customization, and in the event you have multiple SmallHD monitors like I do, you could save a custom profile to an SD card and save it for later use, or you can import that same profile onto other SmallHD monitors with Pages OS 5. Now it's time to talk about the main reason why I switched from a brand like Adamas to SmallHD in the first place, and that's the camera control system. I primarily shoot most of my work on the Red Komodo, so having a monitor that provides me with full camera control is essential to speeding up my workflow. The SmallHD monitors do just that, and on both my Indy 5 and 7 models, I can control nearly every aspect of not only the Komodo, but also the V-Raptor and Komodo X, as well as Red's previous models in the DSMC2 line. If you are looking for camera control for either ARRI or the Sony Venice, the Small HD monitors do also support those cameras. Now, unfortunately, the camera control does come at an additional cost. While they do run sales from time to time, this is something I'd really like to see Small HD do away with, given that they already have a high price tag. The camera control also needs to be activated on a per model basis. So, example, if you want to control both DSMC3 and DSMC2 camera lines, you'll need to purchase 2 separate licenses and activate them on the monitor. And it's also on a per monitor basis. So if you have multiple monitors, you're buying multiple licenses. It's also important to note that the camera control system is wired, not wireless. If you are looking for a wireless solution, you'll need to look elsewhere. However, I never would completely trust camera control to a wireless solution, whether Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. In the case of the Indy 5, the control cable is a bit awkward. It hangs directly off the side of the camera and plugs in via a micro USB port. Thankfully, Small HD added a cable lock with captive thumb screws. Otherwise, I'd be a little bit worried about the fragile micro USB port. The cable, which is essentially a dongle, plugs into the other side of the control cable. This unfortunately makes for messy cable management, but with some Velcro ties and a few sprigs, I was able to clean it up nicely. This is honestly just nitpicking, but clean cable management does mean a lot to me. And at the very least, just make it black so it doesn't stand out so much. The build quality of this monitor is what I've come to expect from Small HD. High quality. There are plenty of 1/4-20 mounting points with locating pins, so you can securely mount the monitor in different configurations, and depending on what I'm shooting, I mount the monitor a few different ways. Most often, I mount to my camera's top handle using the nifty monitor mount from Wooden Camera. As far as the actual LCD panel goes, the Indy 5 has a 1920 by 1080 HD edge-lit display. It's also CalMan calibrated, however, I have been using manual calibration. In terms of battery life, the Indy 5 takes hot swappable Sony L-series batteries, also known as NPF batteries. To be completely honest, I've never used my monitors on battery power, so I can't speak to the life of the Sony L-series batteries. However, you could expect roughly 4 to 5 hours of runtime on a single NPF 750. I personally run power from the 2-pin power output port on my Komodo's battery plate via the monitor's 2.1mm barrel port and power my entire system via Core SWX batteries. Now, speaking of ports, the monitor has 2 3G SDI ports, one of them being input and output. It also has 2 HDMI ports, one in and one in out. Having a monitor that supports SDI output is essential for looping out to a wireless transmitter like a Teradek Bolt I've got set up here. What I do appreciate most about the Indy 5's build quality is that the input and output ports are in fact recessed downward. This means that I don't have cables jutting out on the back of the monitor or off to the side, potentially getting snagged or bumped. Now, speaking of SDI cables, if you're looking for some high quality 12G braided SDI cables, you should look no further than Formcave. I'm going to put a link to the Formcave cables down in the description below. Now, ultimately, I think that the Small HD Indy series of monitors, whether the 5 or the 7-inch, both provide me with a ton of value from a product standpoint. But another thing that has stood out to me is that Small HD and its sister companies are all based in the US, which for me means that if I should ever need a repair, they're not far away and they've got a US-based customer support team. That's something that you can't take for granted when it comes to camera gear. So with all this being said, I think that the Indy 5 is a great monitor for anyone who wants a feature-rich monitor with every tool you'll ever need, plus exceptional build quality, the option for robust camera control, and an industry-leading user interface. Sure, it may be on the expensive side, but when it comes to camera gear, I've said this before, you buy cheap, you buy twice. If you enjoyed this video, please do me a huge favor, hit the subscribe button and give the video a like. Until next time, take care.